Hi everyone, I'm Peter Nowak, and tonight I'm going to tell you a little bit about my plan for how to get rich, or how I plan to get rich. So what my plan is I'm saving up a lot of money, a bunch of money to buy a big chunk of land somewhere in the countryside, and I'm also looking to buy a whole bunch of old cars because my plan is to open a car ranch, and this is going to be very much like a horse ranch, which is where you go to ride horses. And you do that because if you were to try to ride a horse through the city, down Yonge Street, for example, you'd probably end up in jail. So I think this is going to happen with cars as well. People are going to come to my ranch and they're going to pay me money and I'm going to get rich in order to come to my ranch and drive cars. And this is because I believe it's not going to be very long until driving on roads, in cities, on highways is going to be illegal. So the reason for that, well, we're of course talking about autonomous vehicles or self-driving cars or robot cars, whatever you want to call them. And there's two forces at work here. One is, on the one hand, you have a push force, and this is companies like Tesla and Uber and Google that are really pushing development of self-driving cars. And traditional automakers, Toyota and Honda and all those guys, they have joined the race too, no pun intended, and it's because they don't want these technology companies coming in and stealing their business. And that's essentially what this is all about. It is business. This is a very big business. There's a lot of money at stake here. Everybody wants a big piece of that pie. So that's the push side of it. And the development of these robot cars is happening faster than anybody expected. They're being deployed as just as cars, as taxis, as buses, as trucks in a number of countries around the world. Not yet here in Canada, although the first self-driving vehicle test track did just open in Stratford, Ontario, which is great because now you can come for the Shakespeare, stay for the robot cars. That's the push side. The pull side is the other force that's at play here, and really all we need to look at there is one statistic, and this is the World Health Organization's top 10 global killers in the year 2015. As you can see at number 10 is road injury, also known as car accidents. You can note that numbers 1 through 9 are illnesses or diseases. So this is the other notable thing about this is that 15 years ago, cars were not on this list. So cars are rapidly becoming an epidemic, a global epidemic. In fact, 1.5 million people are killed in car accidents every single year. That's more than Vancouver wiped out in the span of a year. It's also more than more people that are killed by HIV and AIDS. So when you put these two forces together, the push and the pull, obviously, this is why we're getting these cars faster than we thought we would. And so I think this is actually a really good thing for a number of reasons. Obviously, there's going to be a very big decline in the number of people who have died. Just to go back on that statistic, Tesla cars can already drive themselves, and they're allowed to in certain parts of the world, particularly in a couple of US states. So Tesla cars have logged over 1 million miles of self-driving. And does anybody know how many fatalities there's been in Tesla self-driving cars? Anybody? There was one. Just one, and over 1 million miles. And actually, there was an inquiry done into that fatality, and it turned out it was actually human error. So go figure. So what's going to happen with these cars? So fatalities are going to decline, and I think we can all attest to the fact that it's going to be great to have our own chauffeur. We're going to be able to sit back in our car and read, watch a movie, or even sleep, rather than basically sitting there in bumper-to-bumper traffic. So that's going to be great. But I also think that they're going to create a whole new whack of jobs, and that's right. New jobs by robot cars. We hear so much about how robots are going to destroy human jobs, and especially when it comes to cars. Yes, truck drivers and taxi drivers probably should start thinking about different careers if that's what they're doing. But robot cars are also going to create a whole bunch of new jobs. And this is where my ranch comes into play, because obviously people are going to we're going to need staff. Anybody who's looking for a job, come to me. I got car ranch hand, an entirely new class of jobs. Now, okay, I know that's a bit of a silly example, but I do actually have a better one, and one that's actually a little bit more credible or feasible. I came across this earlier this year in Las Vegas at the Consumer Electronics Show. So Nissan was there, and they had a big booth, and they had a big video screen, and what they were showing was They had a live feed of their research facility in California, and they had a self-driving car booting around this facility, and it came across this construction obstacle in the road, and it stopped. And then this guy, this is on stage in Las Vegas. This guy hops on his computer, and using the car's cameras and its wireless connection, he basically took control of the car, remote control, and then on his screen, he sort of painted a little route for this car to take around this construction obstacle. It was kind of like playing a video game. And so the car went around this obstacle, and then he handed back control to the vehicle itself, and off it went. This really blew my mind, because I was like, there's so many technologies at play here in order for this to actually happen, but it also gets you thinking about what's going to happen in the future. Now, the reason Nissan is doing this, or the reason they came up with this idea, is because they figure cars will never completely fully drive themselves. They're always going to encounter that one scenario that they just don't know what to do, how to deal with it, and they're going to need a human to come jump in and rescue them. So now, if we are constantly having to monitor our car for those situations, then we're not really getting those benefits of self-driving, right? So why not outsource it? Why not let somebody else do that? The takeover where it needs to happen. So Nissan believes that they're going to need about one of these people. They're calling them mobility managers. I call them ground traffic controllers. They're going to need about one of these for every 10 vehicles. So if you do the math, that's an awful lot of jobs. That's potentially millions of jobs. So will this happen? Who knows? But I like the idea. I like the idea that this is an imaginative look at looking at the problems that we're going to have in the future and predicting how human jobs are going to fill those voids and solve those problems. And I think this is the crux of what I'm trying to tell you today, is that I think we need to be a little bit more imaginative when we're looking at the future and thinking about the future, because we see so many headlines talking about what we stand to lose. And of course, we're going to lose some jobs here, but we're also going to gain some jobs. So I think we need to be a little bit more optimistic about the future and not quite so fearful about it, because I think we've got some exciting things in store for us. And at the very least, we can at least look forward to driving cars on my ranch. And I hope to see you all there.